Welcome back to the Wizard Shop. Today we're going to talk about van problems. Let's get started. This is a 2001 Dodge Grand Caravan. It has some issues. It's going to be a little bit expensive, and someone might say, well, it's an old van, it's not worth it. But here's the deal. This is a wheelchair accessible van, which are extremely expensive. You don't just go buy another one because you have an issue. You fix it because that's the best option going for one of these vans. We'll take a look around it and show you some of the things that it can do, and then we're going to let you guys see if you can guess what is wrong with it. Let's go ahead and take a look around it first. So here's the front of this 01 Dodge Grand Caravan, which is also called Intervan, as we can see on the side. I think they're made by a company called Braun. They make the wheelchair accessible vans. As we go around, we can see it's in fairly good shape. There are some little scuffs and things in the paint, and it's a little worse for the wear. It is almost 23 years old, but the owner of this vehicle is an older person, and at this stage in life, you don't just go buy another $90,000 van because it looks a little old. Everything looks pretty stock on the outside. Looks like just your standard van, but I'll go ahead and operate, or at least partially operate this door and show you kind of what it does and what makes this van so useful. As we can see, the ramp would go down. I'm not going to let it all the way down. I don't want it to hit the lift, but that's basically how that works. The difference between this door and a stock door is they've modified some things with the actuation of the door opening and closing so they could make the ramp actually work the way it operates and everything. It's a little different. If you were to go to purchase parts for the motorized mechanism for this door for a standard van, it would not work on this door, but it possibly would work, or probably would work on the other door. So they've modified some things there. Let's go ahead and jump into the engine bay. Before we open the hood, you can definitely see the RCSB behind me, the Silverado that's getting the Duramax swap. We're actually just waiting on some parts. As you can see, I'm test fitting the engine and doing some things like that, but there's definitely a video coming for that as soon as I get some things arrived that I've actually paid for already and ordered. Also, there's some parts missing off that truck that Mrs. Wizard has taken from it. We'll be no longer using them. It's actually turned into art. If you're curious about those things, there's a link in the description below. And she has a video on her channel as well, showing some of the things that she has made. It's really cool, guys. You could actually buy a piece of the Wizard Shop, or things that have been in it anyways. So under here is a 3.3 liter V6, which is in the same family as the 3.8 that they have with these vehicles. Either way, they are very bulletproof engines. I've worked on some of these vans that have 400,000 or 500,000 miles on them, and they're still in the same engine. Very, very reliable. They're not technologically advanced, they're not super powerful, but they just keep going. Very, very good engines. You can see here, there's our alternator. And some of the things in that area can be tough to work on. You have to go through the wheel well. There's our valve covers there, which if they're leaking, you have to take this whole intake off to get to the back one. It can be kind of troublesome, but not too bad. But otherwise, it's pretty easy to work on. They're very, very simple engines. This engine is stock. They really haven't modified or changed anything here, so let's go ahead and talk about why it's here. So the customer actually called to make an appointment here, and her complaint was she lost power steering. A lot of times you get an email or something like that, or a question with Crazy D about, hey, my car's making this noise, or my power steering has quit. What could it be? And as you could imagine, through email or over the phone, there's really no way I could figure it out. We're going to show you today what you thought it could be is completely not what it is. You can go down the wrong path until you actually see, or actually I see the vehicle. It's very difficult to just diagnose. So let's play the game and see if you guys can guess. Again, you just got the phone call, power steering has quit, and the question is, why? What's wrong with my car? You're not allowed to look at it. Not allowed to get any other details because a lot of times, unfortunately, the customer doesn't have any details. So, the power steering quit. Let's let you guys figure out in the comments what you think it is. Is it 1, the power steering pump has failed? Is it 2, the steering rack has internally failed and no longer provides power assistance? Is it 3, is this out of fluid? There's a leak somewhere and it's completely drained out, bone dry, and there's no fluid. Or is it number 4, some other accessory or other item on the engine? So the answer actually ends up to be number 4, a completely separate accessory that has absolutely nothing to do with power steering. So this is where you can get in trouble when trying to diagnose through email or over the phone what could it be. And you go through all the scenarios, you have the customer, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, and then you get the car and actually look at it and find out, oh, it has nothing to do with anything that we thought about. So that's why it really needs to be looked at to get a good, solid, accurate diagnosis and an estimate. Let's get this thing in the air and I'll show you what went wrong. We'll go ahead and take a quick look underneath the whole car, show you some of the cool things that have been changed. You'll definitely see that this is not a standard van underneath. Then we'll come back to the issue that caused the loss of power steering. So we'll take a look at our radiator core support area. Everything's dry, nothing leaking there. Our fans are free spinning, at least they're not locked up. One thing I like to see here, or that I'm liking, is that there's no fluid leakage anywhere. Oil pan, transmission oil pan, everything is nice and clean without any oil all over it, so that's good. You can see an oil filter has been recently done, so it's been maintained. Brakes look fairly new. Struts, although they're rusty, they're still good. They're not blown out or anything. Sway bar link is good, nothing loose. Brakes are good here, CV boots are good. Nothing loose, and the strut is dry as well. Right in this location is where things change drastically from a standard Grand Caravan. You can see the exhaust and a lot of these lines have changed, and also there's some structural support that has been welded in and added. And that is to lower the floor and strengthen the floor for all these equipment and things that have been added to it, and to make it easier to get in and out of the vehicle. So this has all been modified going back. One of the situations you run into here is you run into issues anywhere along here. Your local parts store is not going to carry a lot of these things. You might actually have to contact the people that made the conversion to get some parts. As you can see, it's straight piped all the way back. Look at that, guys. Literally a straight pipe all the way back. It still has a catalytic converter, so it meets emissions, so don't worry about that, guys. Here we can see all the lines that have been rerouted. We have fuel lines, we have heater lines, we have air conditioning lines, all kinds of things that are going back to the back. Let's follow them all the way back. Here we can see these large shocks. They're very beefy, and these are the Chrysler self-load leveling shocks. They actually pump themselves up and keep the vehicle level. You can see all these hoses and things run back here, go up to this far right corner, and you can see there's where the heater core and the AC evaporator core for the rear all hook up. There's lots of surface rust we see on here, and it's not surprising. It's been through all weather, and it's also 23 years old. It's got good brakes in the back. Everything looks good there, nothing loose. Brakes look good here. Nothing loose there as well. Track bar and everything looks good. We'll check the tires real quick, check the date code. Got some good quality tires on here, Michelin Defenders, and they are from the 38th week of 2017. I imagine there's not a lot of miles put on this, so I'd say they're still good. They got some life left in them. Okay, I'll go ahead and get this panel out of the way. We can see some melting going on here. Look at that, guys. It's melted plastic. That's bad. We'll have to replace that hose. It could have melted into the rubber. But look at this. It will not even move. Locked up solid. Let's check the other pulleys while we're here. Here's our water pump. Alternators free. Idler, tensioner, power steering. Yeah, everything's nice and free, but not the AC compressor. So let's go ahead and get this thing on the ground. We've seen exactly what's going on here. So let's kind of go over some of the things of why it wasn't the first three items and was the fourth item, as we just saw. It wasn't the power steering pump locked up or something damaged with it, because we could freely move the pulley. And in the first inspection we did on this vehicle, it's full of fluid. So there's nothing wrong with the pump. It isn't number two, where the steering rack is bad, because everything is tested out okay. There's nothing leaking. It steers just fine. So we don't suspect the rack. Number three is the fluid gone? And it's not. It's nice and full. And it ended up being number four, the AC compressor, which is another accessory, is locked up tighter than a drum. It is seriously locked up.
Okay, Wizard, so what made them think it was the power steering?
And that's kind of the thing I want to talk about with you guys. So they call the power steering is quit. You say, well, is your battery charging? I don't know. It could have had the battery light on. It probably did. Is it overheating? I don't know. I haven't noticed it. But here's the thing. When the AC compressor locked up, it threw the belt. The belt's gone. It completely just shredded and threw it. It's gone. So that means everything that's ran by the belt has just stopped. This is some of those cases where you're cruising on the highway and you drive by a serpentine belt laying on the ground. Exactly what happens here. So when the belt flew off, we don't have power steering anymore. And unbeknownst to the customer, we don't have a water pump pumping, which means there would have been no heater, and it could have overheated. And there's also no charging going on for the battery. So you see right there how easy it is to just go through all these scenarios on the phone or through email and can be completely off base and really not even help the customer at all, because we need to look at it in person. So unfortunately, it's going to need an entire AC system replacement, and it's going to make it a little bit more expensive because this is a dual AC system, which means we now have an expansion valve and some things to flush in the back, which is more time and more parts. AC compressor, condenser, expansion valve, receiver dryer, flush the entire system, because there's going to be pieces of debris through the entire van. Not just right here, but because it has rear AC, it's also going to be all the way back there. It's going to be kind of expensive, and we mentioned to the customer, hey, maybe an AC bypass pulley. You could still enjoy the use of your van, you just wouldn't have AC. She goes, I don't care what it costs. I want my AC fixed, because I'm not going to go buy another van. I'm at this stage in life where I just want it fixed. It's cheaper, amazingly, to just fix it. Okay, so we're happy to take care of it for her. So is it worth it on this van to have so much labor and parts going into it? If it were just a standard 2001 van, maybe not. But on this van, absolutely. This thing needs to stay running. It needs to have all the creature comforts for an older person that they need, heater and AC. It needs to keep going. Even 23 years old, and it's got some miles and age on it, it still works. Everything works. It's still usable to help the person in their mobility, to help them get around. It's easy to think that I actually had no muffler Newton, thanks. It's easy to think, I actually had a friend come into the shop to visit, and he saw the van and he goes, what's wrong with that thing? And I said, well, it needs complete AC system, the entire thing replaced. And he goes, I don't know if it's worth it. And it's easy to think that way, until I mentioned it's a mobility van, and he said, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it completely flips the entire equation based on that fact. It's a horse of another color, as they say. So we got all the parts ordered. We'll get this taken care of for this customer, and they will have nice cold AC again. If you're curious what kind of tools we're going to use to work on this van, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. Anything you buy there, we get a small cut and really appreciate it. Make sure to check out Mrs. Wizard's Ways, also in the description below. She's got some really cool videos going on. She's got the artwork we mentioned about that's going to be for sale. which is some pieces off of this truck. And make sure to hit the subscribe button here as well, because there's more cars scheduled, which means more videos for you guys. Thanks for watching.